Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, April 20th, 2020. I'm Keith Tebow, FRCMedia. I want to thank you for joining us live on Facebook. If you're also watching this on a replay on Facebook, welcome. And if you're also watching on our cable television channel, Channel 95, again, welcome to all of you as we continue to cope with dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. What I thought we'd do this morning is something we did initially like 3 or 4 weeks ago. We wanted to discuss how the local businesses are faring with COVID-19. And we're going to be speaking this morning with the co-CEOs of the One SouthCoast Chamber. Pleased to be joined this morning by Rick Kidder and Michael Sullivan. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me this morning. How are you?
Good morning, Keith. Nice to see you. We're doing well.
Good morning, Keith. It's nice to be here.
Let me just ask you, and either one of you can just chime in. It's been some time now, I guess a little over a month, since restrictions have been placed on businesses across the Commonwealth. Rick, let me just, I guess, pinpoint this to you.
Sure.
How have the One SouthCoast Chamber members been faring throughout all this? I know it's been difficult.
It's been very difficult. The vast majority of our membership are small and micro business, and those small and micro businesses are feeling it hard. You can sort of go sector by sector. Our restaurant businesses, of course, are challenged at this point. Many of our small employers needed our assistance and our guidance in helping them apply for PPP and other federal programs. But we're seeing it. The streets are empty. It's tough. A lot of companies are pivoting. They're working toward curbside whenever they can, but a lot of them don't have that option.
Yeah. Mike, I know that, you're in Fall River and, we're our community media station based in Fall River. Are you hearing the same types of stories in the Fall River area?
Yes, we're hearing the exact same stories in Fall River. The restaurants they've pivoted to curbside, to delivery. The parking lots are empty. The streets are empty. It's a very difficult situation. But as Rick mentioned, we've got a lot of people who've pivoted. Merrill Manufacturing has pivoted and is they're manufacturing PPEs. Vance and Leather is doing the same thing. Matuk is doing the same thing. U.S. Bedding, Darn It, and more. There's a lot of businesses along the South Coast, and there's a lot of business people who have stepped up, maybe on a personal level, who are also making masks and things like that. So, people have pivoted, but it is a very, very difficult time to be in business.
Yeah, let me ask you again, either one of you can chime in on this. In terms of the chamber, I know you guys have helped out with other small business organizations to get companies connected to PPP. What has that looked like for you? And I guess talk a little bit about how the process has been. I know of a company in Rhode Island that it was a little bit of a struggle trying to connect with their bank to get the application going. Has there been similar struggles with what you've been seeing?
Oh, yes, indeed. I think one of the things that we've seen, Keith, and I think that almost everybody has seen, is that this is a process that was rolled out with astounding speed. And as much as it feels like for a lot of businesses, this has taken a tremendous amount of time. When you think of the sheer volume that SBA is working in right now to try to get this going, and the fact that at this point they've run out of funds, it's been a challenge for businesses to get going. The banks didn't get their rules and regs until the very last minute. So many of them had a challenging time pivoting, but it's astounding how fast these banks have gotten up to speed. What we're hoping for now is that there's additional relief because that additional relief is still very much needed.
Mike, do you have a sense in terms of how many members of the chamber have maybe applied for PPP and, can maybe sharing some of their stories?
We're not even close to having an exact number, because there's some people that tell us, some people that don't tell us. There's a lot of people that, regardless of the circumstances and regardless of the fact that this is, just extraordinary times, a lot of people, they don't like to talk about their finance. They don't like to talk about the need for money. But what I will tell you is when you talk to all the commercial lenders in the region along the South Coast, there are thousands and thousands of people who have applied for these loans. The commercial lenders, not so much this weekend, but the previous weekend, I don't know a commercial lender that wasn't working just about 24/7 as the deadlines came through and being able to and trying to turn it all around and make it happen as quickly as possible. So I would say thousands, but I don't have an exact number.
And I think along with that, Keith, one of the things that we've got to realize is the chamber has been performing the role of trying to synthesize information to get out to businesses, for businesses to act upon and to contact their local banker. We've been inundated with information. All of us have been inundated with information, and sifting through that has been the role of the chamber. And Mike and I need to give a real shout out to Jen Lorenzo, who handles our communications, because we're putting stuff out every day and trying to sift through what sometimes feels like conflicting information to make sure that our businesses get the right words out. So a lot of our role has been connecting people, as we always have, but it's connecting them into the programs and to the banks that can help them, or in some cases, a real shout out to the Massachusetts Small Business Development Center that's working on a case-by-case basis, helping people walk through these programs.
What other questions are you hearing? Are you hearing any other questions other than survival, I guess, from some of your members?
Our membership has had a lot of questions with respect to the unemployment insurance. The membership, as businesses, the membership is struggling with the concept of the additional $600. The additional $600 puts many folks in the position where they're getting paid more money to not work. That's kind of hard, and people intellectually, people are struggling with that. In addition to it, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Part of that is also, I think, Keith, for a lot of these businesses, they're really hoping to get these people back as soon as possible. And the big question marks that all of us have: when will this end? How will we phase ourselves back in? A lot of those things are big question marks right now that I think are creating as much anxiety as not. So it's important for us as a chamber to kind of help communicate with our elected officials, to touch base with them and let them know that when we hear some of these issues surfacing, we can help synthesize some of that and send it on, as we have done.
That was going to lead to my next question. There's been a lot of talk over the past week about individuals in some states and even some businesses looking to get back, right? They want to get back to being in business and serving the economy. Are you hearing any of those questions from any of your members saying, hey, I want to get back? Some of it is led by some more right-leaning groups in terms of their political aspirations. Are you hearing any pressure from members to say, I want to get back? When can we get back? And what can be done about it?
Well, most of the members that I hear, Keith, everybody wants to get back, but they want to get back safely. Right. And they want to get back. They want to get back so that there won't be a relapse. They're willing to wait if they have to wait, but they really prefer not to wait. They need to start generating revenue.
And it's interesting, I think, and to piggyback on what Mike just said, one of the things that we have not, I don't think either one of us has seen from our members, is any desire to rush back. They're anxious, they want to get back, but we haven't had anybody contact us and say, hey, you guys, your role is to get this economy open right now. Because I don't think anybody in our membership truly believes that would be in the best interest of the community or in the best interest of the business community in the long term. So no, we have not had that, and I'm rather glad. We have seen protests in other parts of the country to get the economy going again. We have a great amount of faith in our elected leadership, both locally and on a statewide level, to ensure that when we do open, we open safely. And I think our membership shares that.
Let me ask you, what are some of the other communications that you're putting forth? I know I get to see your e-blasts that come out, still promoting some local businesses, some local restaurants, and maybe providing takeout service. What other types of communications are you sending out just to keep your members informed?
We're sending out more communications. Just as an example, last week, one of our members who is an attorney, and he focuses on HR issues. We sent out an email blast from Gary Howiak, who just talked about all of the types of topics that are related to COVID-19, but not necessarily the details of how do you sanitize, how do you do things like that. There's other factors: paid family leave, paid family medical leave. What are the effects of the sick leave now under the CARES Act? Because all those things change the size of the business that it applies to. Many of those things used to not apply to under 50 employees. Now it applies to under 500 employees. So that's something that's new to 85% of our membership at least. And so we need to make sure that we communicate that type of information.
Also, Keith, I think it's important for us to try to maintain, to whatever degree we can, a kind of normalcy of our programming. So what we have done is we've like many other organizations shifted to using Zoom. We're doing networking events. We're getting people something that they actually need to do is connect with each other, because a lot of people, I think, are going a little stir crazy at home. And we have many folks within our organizations who like to network with each other. So we're setting up networking events. We're setting up seminars. The seminars are very practical in many senses. We've done seminars with an accountant. We've done seminars on legal issues. We've done seminars on applying for PPP and the economic injury disaster loans. But we've got one coming up tomorrow, for example, on taking care of you, because it's just as important when people are at home that they take care of themselves and that they are ready to re-enter the workforce and re-enter our business as usual whenever that's possible.
Yeah, Keith, interestingly enough, one of the sarcastic comments that you hear from people on the Zoom calls is, who's gained the most weight?
I think I'm a qualified candidate under there, because working at home, closer to the kitchen, right?
That's what everyone says.
That's what everyone says. It's been definitely a challenging time, and I want to thank the both of you for joining us. We're going to talk about maybe doing this on a regular basis. Check in with you and hear some of the success stories that are still going on with some of our businesses in the South Coast. So Rick Kidder and Michael Sullivan, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Keith, very, very much.
Thanks, Rick.
I also want to thank all of you who are joining us today. And again, continue to go to our website, frmedia.org, for all the latest information on COVID-19 locally here in Fall River. And we hope to soon. So for all of us from FRCmedia, I'm Keith Tebow. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll talk again soon.